common objection that we've gotten from the field is sometimes the price when selling wellness mats. How have you overcome that?
Well, first I think it starts with your demo and how you price position. To me, I don't really get it a lot. The only thing I might get is people can't afford it, right?
Okay.
But the reason I don't really get it a lot is because when I price position, the very first thing I do is talk about other mats that are out there. And I don't name brands or anything like that, but I do tell them, like, hey, you know what? You can go to Bed Bath & Beyond right now and you can buy the mats that are sold in stores, or you don't even have to say Bed Bath & Beyond, but hey, you can go to stores right now and you can buy mats. I always say Bed Bath & Beyond because they're the closest competition. You can go to Bed Bath & Beyond, you can buy other mats that are made in China. They last 2 or 3 years. They tend to fold up on the edges, and they're nice, but really all they are is they're just like padding on the floor, and they wear out after 2 or 3 years. And if anybody's ever had any mat in their kitchen, they know what you're talking about. They start nodding, so they've had this experience, or they've never had this experience and they're like, oh, interesting, and so now you're educating them. Either way, you're in a good place. And then I say, an amazing thing about it, like, people are walking out the door with these things all day, every day, and they're like $100 a piece, right? And here's the great thing about wellness mats. And now I'm going to talk about, I don't dog on the other products, I just tell what's cool, what's true about them. They're comfortable, they'll last a few years, they're made in China, whatever. After a few years, though, you have to replace them over and over again. And what's great about wellness mats is that they're going to last 10 times longer, they're 10 times more comfortable, they have the best warranty in the industry, and they're American made. And the great thing about them, and so what it is, I'm building value, I'm like stacking the value, and I go, and here's the great part, they're only this much. They're only a few dollars more. And like, if we're talking about a 3x2 at today's current price, it's like $130.
Yeah.
Hey, they're only $130. And so right now, the closest competition is $100. And here with wellness mats, you get American made, 10 times the comfort. They're going to last 10 times as long. That's the big one, right? They last 10 times longer, and they have a 20-year warranty on them. So, and the best part about it, they're only a few dollars more. Like, that one right there you're standing on is only $130. And they're always like, oh, okay, cool. Like, suddenly what used to be, like, when I would just tell people, like, they go, how much is it? And I don't say that. I just say it's $130. They go, oh gosh, it's so much, right?
Exactly.
But when I actually price position first and build and stack the value on top of it, even when customers are like, get to the point, just tell me. I'm like, well, I will, but I want you to understand what you're getting and what the difference is. Then they go, oh, interesting, that's actually not that much.
Yeah.
Right, because they're going to have them for 20 years. They're not going to have to replace them in 2 or 3 years like the other ones, so they're actually spending less.
Over time they are, and it's important to know that you're not going to have the upsets with the competition products, of what you said. So
now the other thing is, like, sometimes people will still say, like, oh, that's just a lot, and I'll go, you're right, it's not cheap, right? But good's not cheap, cheap's not good. And I always tell them, like, my grandma always told me, like, you get what you pay for. And so I'm willing to spend, and I tell customers this, I'm willing to spend a few dollars more on something if I know it's going to last me a lot longer, and if I'm really happy and proud to have it. And then they, I'm always just looking for that nod. Customers start to nod, and that's when you have them. You don't have to talk about it anymore. Just keep moving. Just start asking closing questions.
Exactly. Perfect. And something that we're going to provide as well is a little bit of a price comparison sheet for the field that will go through, who our competitors are. We're not going to name exactly who they are, but at least the prices that they offer, the sizing, so you guys have that in your back pocket. If somebody were to say, well, what's a competitor's mat priced at? You can say, oh, it's between $80 and $100 typically. So that's something that we'll be getting to the field as well.
Cool.
Next question.
There's another one, by the way, that comes up for me.
Go ahead.
So a lot of times people say, like, oh, I have the cheap one I buy at, like, some of the warehouse stores and stuff like that. Sure, Walmart or Costco or whatever, and they're like $30.
Yeah.
Right? And so I'll just, in those moments, I just ask questions. Like, if you understand why people generally dislike what they already have, you can just start asking them questions. Like, do you ever have this struggle? Do you ever have this challenge? So I'll just ask, like, do you ever notice they start to peel away? Yep. And right now I'm just positioning features of other cheaper mats that are not good features against features that Wellness Mats has done such a good job of solving, right? Problems that they've just done such a good job of solving with their features and benefits. And so, do you ever notice those peel away? Oh yeah, these will never do that. They're actually guaranteed not to, and if they do, they'll replace them. You know, or do you ever notice like, do you ever have like ones that like curl? Do you ever notice that sometimes they curl up, or you ever notice how they're flat on the edge and like, do you ever stub your toe on it or you kick it around or whatever? Yeah. Do you ever notice how it slides around? You know, and sometimes they say no to these questions, but then you find the one thing.
Exactly.
They're like, oh yeah, I hate that. And I'm like, it sucks, doesn't it? And they're like, yeah, it sucks. And I'm like, I know, right? Here's what's cool. These guys have solved that problem. Like, you'll never have it again. And they go, oh, okay. So now all of a sudden they see how like the cheap mat, while it's cheap, it still has challenges and struggles. And so spend a little bit extra on this and you're never gonna have to have that challenge or struggle again. That's the idea. And you can do that with any of those cheap mats.
Exactly, because
They
they're all
absorb
gonna
stuff.
have the same problems.
Yeah, they're hard to clean, they absorb stuff, they fall apart, people trip on them, they slide around. There's just so many. I had a lady one time who like told me a whole story about she spent all this money on really nice concrete floors, and then she put down these mats, and these mats she didn't realize were absorbing moisture the whole time.
Oh no.
And she never knew it because she never moved them. But eventually her concrete floors split and cracked under each one. She had like 5 of them around her kitchen. Under each one of those cheap mats,
Wow.
they were all soggy and wet, and it was growing mildew, and like all this stuff was happening. And she's like, I hate them. And I was just like, that sucks. Here, get WellnessMats, and she did. So,
Perfect. Ooh, that would be rough. But yeah, we would never ever damage something such as concrete because we're sealed on top and bottom.
That's right.